decided to take that leap of faith, and then it actually worked out. So that's amazing.
How do you decide what themes or topics to focus on Mark's newsletter? Or do you get together once a week or once a month and come up with different topics? Or do you provide your inputs, he gives out ideas, and then you come up with few drafts? What is the process like?
Sure. So, to give a bit of background, Mark's newsletter is called Your Next Breakthrough. The idea of the newsletter is very simple. It's basically a few quotes, things to think about, maybe 2 or 3. And then after the few quotes, it's a couple of questions to think about related to the quotes. So Mark intends for this to be used as journaling questions, and people do use it as journaling questions. And then after the questions is one thing to do for the week. It's the homework. It's like the assignment that we want people to go and do. And then afterwards, email us back and say, how did it go? And then the following week, we feature what readers went and did, and we call them breakthroughs. So the following week, we actually feature reader stories so that other readers can see, normal people have done this. And maybe that's easier for them to relate to than something that maybe Mark said he's done in his life. So that's, in a nutshell, is Your Next Breakthrough, which is a newsletter. So the process for creating a newsletter is very, very easy. And I'd say it's a very collaborative process between Mark and me, which is basically, because the quotes, it's like you start each newsletter with the quotes, right? That's what dictates the rest of the content. So what I do is I go back through Mark's body of writing, which is vast, and I pick the quotes. So I think, okay, this week I want it to be about hope, for example. There was recently a news, actually it might be the one going out today. Okay, it might be the one going out today. So it's about hope. So I pick a couple of quotes about hope from what Mark has written. So this is like Mark's words. It's what he's written before in his books or for social media or in his article. And then I come up with the questions, like the journaling questions, and I come up with the exercise for the week. And then I batch maybe 5 or 6 of these. I send them all to Mark, and he goes through them all. So he goes through the quotes. He will comment on, okay, this quote doesn't quite work, or we need to expand on this quote, or this doesn't work taken out of context. And then he'll go through my questions and my exercise, and maybe 1 time out of 10, he doesn't change anything. But other than that, he'll tweak stuff. He'll be like, okay, let's rephrase this. Because like we use Google Docs, so we can always see the tracked changes. So I will, when he sends them back to me, I'll go through and see what he changed. Like, how much did he change? What kind of wording did he change? And then, so that's the process for creating the quotes, the questions, and the exercise for the week. And then after we send a newsletter, all the reader emails come back, and I'm the one who goes through the inbox. And each week we get maybe 100 to 200 emails, depending on how well the topic that week resonated. And I'll go through the entire inbox, and then I'll shortlist maybe 5 or 10 good stories. And I'll send them to Mark, and I'll go, these are the stories I think we should feature, and then he'll select the final 2 to 3 stories to feature in the following week's newsletter. It's actually a very simple process, and it's great because all the content is already there. And each week we're not really writing a bunch of new copy, because it's just a couple of questions, a couple of exercise. It makes it very, very sustainable for a weekly newsletter, because otherwise, to keep up with a weekly publishing schedule, it's actually quite tough. As I'm discovering in my own newsletter, it's like I'm struggling to make my own newsletter each week. But for Mark's newsletter, you can easily batch them out 10 at a time, and we've kind of perfected the system. It's kind of like trial and error. First we try this, and then we try that, and finally we've landed on this process, and it's worked well for us.